would have had it.
I know. You had them all afternoon. You had them all afternoon.
Yeah.
Uncle and two cousins in the corner. Why you let your grandson steal? Stop.
I've been catching you first scenario. What you gonna do now? What you gonna do now, scenario?
Hey everybody, I'm Daniel Rios.
And I am Tria Rios.
We are husband and wife.
We are.
She's much prettier than I am, and we pastor Square Root Church right here in sunny South Florida.
Most beautiful area in the world, in the country actually, because I can't say the world because I haven't really been many places.
Right, you've been here in Warner Robins.
Don't get cute with me. But we pastor here in South Florida, and we are so excited to be bringing to you some scenarios.
So we've been married, what, 10 years? 10 years?
Can we just round up and do 11 because I need all my credit.
But if we say 11 now, then on our 11th anniversary, it's not going to be special. It's not going to be, like, you're going to knock all the wind out of the sails by taking 11 so early. Then what am I going to do on our anniversary?
Well,
I'm going to be required to give you a great gift, and you're going to be like, well, we already been married 11 years, and then I get a hug.
Well, we can go with that. I'm taking it up to 11, and we have 4 very beautiful children. Beautiful.
We do. We are, well, back to 10 years marriage, because we are about a half a year away from the 11.
Okay.
And if we go by your math, I'm 40. And I'm not 40.
Well, look in your scalp and see all those gray hairs, and I beg to differ.
Look in your scalp.
Don't worry about my scalp. I got about 2 in there, and that's from you. The first one say Dad, the second one say Rios.
Took 10 years.
The third one go say Junior.
That's right. That come on 11. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we got 4 beautiful kids, 3 boys and a little girl.
Yep.
Right, and
a little girl.
And they get on my last nerves.
They do, but you know.
I get the best times in my life are with the kids. The worst times. It was the best of days. It was the worst of days.
Right, yeah. That is a daily.
No, best of times. Whatever the quote is.
Okay.
I'm too young for that.
Take notes next time. But so all of them are teenagers, except for one. Our oldest is. He's about to be 21. And don't let that fool you, okay? I'm still young, using wrinkle cream, black don't crack, cocoa butter, and fried chicken. We looking good out here. But 21, and the rest are teenagers. And we are tired. We're tired.
I'm tired.
Okay.
They got to go. No, so we have four children. And I tell you what, what's crazy or fun kind of right now for me is we just moved, and our family structure is a little weird because our children, because we pastor church, and they've been with us since the beginning, since we planted it. They were the first setup team, first teardown team, and when you pastor church, you're always doing something. You know, you're always around people. People are always around you.
Yeah,
over your house,
everything's
over
an
their house.
experience for sure.
And because you're on the setup team, they're always there. So over the last 5 years, our children, I think, other than spankings, have forgotten what punishment is about.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because you get in trouble, and then the next day we're headed to church, or we're headed to a function, or people are coming over, or it's always an event or something happening.
And it's not just an event, but because we are on the ground of it, we're there 2 hours before the event. So they'll come, they get in trouble on Tuesday, put on punishment, but then Tuesday night we have a staff meeting. And then we have to leave and go to staff meeting, and they're home by themselves, sneaking on the computer, sneaking on their video games, watching TV,
yes,
pretending to be asleep when we pull up.
All the way up.
Whoever made houses and put windows in the front of them so that headlights can be seen when they pull into the driveway must have been a child. It must have been a child who was trying to figure out how to get over on his parents, who designed houses the way they are today.
Do you remember? So the last house we lived in, there was one time where we knew we were going to catch them, because we have caught them on several occasions, especially when we had the camera installed in the house.
Flash across the camera.
That was hilarious. But we parked a little ways down the street. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We got out. We walked around the side of the house and went through the back patio. We didn't catch anybody that day.
No, they was behaving.
But that might have been the day where the game was hot. We put our hand on top of the game console, and it was hot because it had just been running.
But we couldn't prove it. but we couldn't prove it. And they were smart enough that they must have heard us walking in the
Rio's
leaves.
children, you have to have evidence.
Right. So they don't know punishment, or they'll be there, and then the next day we got church on midweek, and so they get home from school, and within an hour of being home from school, you get them fed and all these things, and then in the car,
out to eat, fed too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're here with everybody and their friends, and because it's church, it's not like, hey, go sit in the corner. You got to go sit in the corner, or so then Thursday you get praise and worship team rehearsal or something like that.
Yep.
And then Friday you have people over. You're with
youth
other
events
people.
are always
youth
on a
events,
Friday.
right?
Yep.
And then Sunday back at it again. So so our children tend to not know what punishment is, and then to add insult to injury, they're very likable. But for other people, I think other people like our kids more than we do. They don't love them as much, but other people don't. Our kids are likable. They got great personalities. I'm making some jokes. I like my kids.
Right, calm down.
You got to call Child Protective Services.
Calm down.
Anyway, but they like them, and so they always offer something. They'll bring them a snack, or say, hey, can they come with us after church? And can they spend a night? And it's kind of like, how do you tell the children's pastor, no, you can't take, the children can't come hang out with you, or the youth pastor, no, they can't come hang out with you, and so it's always something. So now,
oh God,
say now, baby,
now.
So now, look, we just moved, and it's been fun and not fun.
Well, yeah, we're still in the work. Like the work part of it. It hasn't got enjoyable yet because we're still just kind of getting all set up.
Right. So my wife, she has begun to work a masterpiece. Look, she's staring at me. That's not what I was gonna say. But she's begun to work a masterpiece with the house. She's made it beautiful, and she's made it beautiful before we moved everything in. So then we had to move in around all of her decorations, which was very tough.
We'll have another conversation about
So a week and a half after doing that, I'm frustrated because I'm like having to move things around decor, but she's more frustrated because I'm messing up her aesthetic. Yeah, I'm messing up her decor. I'm knocking stuff over, I'm laying trash on top of something that was just beautiful a second ago, And so after a week and a half of her being frustrated with me and the kids not keeping up with the new decorum and cleanliness of the house, right? And she said, these kids, they getting on my nerves now. Yeah. And she said, I need you to jump in here and do this. And I said, let me tell you the awesome thing. You remember what I told you?
Revelation.
It was revelation. I said, the way this house is designed, I said, we get to put our kids on punishment.
Yeah, so what that means is, so in our house, there's kind of like an area that was built on. Obviously, it's an add-on. It's really cool, but it's the game room. So what we did was we took all of the kids' televisions, mounted them up on the walls, all their PlayStations. They have their own little sectional. I mean, it's a vibe. It's a whole vibe.
It's a whole vibe.
And it's on the other side of the house, completely away from their bedrooms. So their bedrooms no longer have the game stations, no longer have the TVs in there, and the Roku and the Apple TV, whatever they had in there before. They all go to the game room to do that, which they completely love because it's spacious and nobody's in the way, and,
right.
It works.
It's their hangout place. They entertain their friends, and their bedroom is bigger now because they've gotten a lot of those furniture items and games and stuff off the floor, out cabinets, out the room, and so now they have their bedroom is bigger. So they enjoy it. This is actually, I think, how we pitched it to them, that we wanted to give them a game room when we moved into this house. Oh, they fell in love with it until
they didn't know. Dun dun dun.
Until now, go to your room means something totally different.
It's a completely different thing. Go to your room means go and sit down and hush.
It means go to prison.
Go to read a book. And not prison, because it's cute in there, but it really is. They didn't have the game. They don't have the TV. So here, peep game. Here's what they would do.
Tell me what you got.
They would, so we'll say Israel would be on punishment and Daniel's not on punishment. They share a room.
Right.
Daniel can play the game in the room. So Israel's just sitting there off in the corner watching Daniel play the game.
And not that we
enjoying it equally.
But the controllers are wireless.
Yeah.
He can be off in the corner looking like he's not playing the game.
So yeah, it's completely different now.
So now they get sent to their room. And in our previous home, you come out of their bedroom and you have to walk through the living room to get to the kitchen.
Oh, it's a little journey.
Right,
across.
so they would always find a reason to be out of their room. Oh, I'm just getting some water.
Yep.
Oh, I'm just doing this. I got to use the bathroom. The bathroom was, of course, down the hall. And across so they can be out of the room for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time for no reason, and they're always bebopping around and where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But now they have a bathroom right by their room, and their room is behind and off, away from everything. So now I say, go to your room. I don't want to see you. You're not thirsty. If you're thirsty, get you a handful of water out of the bathroom.
A handful.
You know,
in your hands.
And y'all might think that's crazy, but we used to drink out of water hoses and all of that.
And we're fine.
Right. And if you think it's neglect for the kid to have to drink out the faucet, you's a fool. So so you're on the wrong station, not me. So I tell him, we'll call you when it's time to eat dinner. Snacks are a privilege. You ain't entitled to that. And I don't want to see you or hear you.
Yes. So we said all that to say is we really put the okie doke on the kids.
So they got a punishment now.
Yes. Well,
right.
One of them is on punishment right now.
One of them is on punishment. Let me tell you about this one. Here's a scenario for you. Because of what we do, there's graces that are given, right? So what will happen is, after a weekend of being locked down, on Sunday evening, we're a little graceful, you know, and so we're watching a movie this past Sunday.
Right, because it's a long day. We normally get up like around 5:45, and we're moving constantly from the time we get up to the time we get home from church about 2:30. We're on the move. My kids are setting up. They're working cameras.
Now, if you're listening and you were ever thinking about visiting the church, we are not going from 5 a.m. to 2:30.
Oh, yeah, no, please.
No. We have to set it up.
We set up the
down,
church.
And then after we tear it down, we go and eat. And after we eat, we make it home around
Right,
2.
we're not in church for that amount of time. But it's a long day. So like you said, on Sunday, we do have those moments where it's like, let's have a Sabbath. Let's sit down. Let's have a good meal. Let's go out to eat. Let's do this. Let's watch a movie. So those who are on punishment, they have their moments of freedom.
Right. So we grace him with a little bit of love. And we out to eat, and then we're sitting down watching a movie. So he's sitting down watching a movie with us. And it's a movie he wanted to see for a while. Now, what he does is I don't know if he either thinks he's smarter than us, or if he thinks that we're dumber than we are, or that
that's absolutely it.
Or that he could just ease
That's absolutely it. You don't need to go any further. That is it.
Yeah. He thinks he could ease into being off punishment. So the moment, this is what they're saying, you give a mouse a cookie, he want a glass of milk. The minute he sits down and watches that movie, now he wants to watch TV all the time. So I come in the next day.
After school.
After school, when I come home, he's lounging.
Oh, house shoes, pajama pants.
Watching Netflix and talking to him about what movies is on Netflix.
That one was his favorite. It was a good one.
I had to call that boy in a room. I was so frustrated because the thing is, it's one thing to be on punishment. It's another thing to be on punishment and act like you have the authority to not be on punishment. So I had to call the boy in the room. I said, hey man, I said, why are you sitting out there in front of the TV like you're not on punishment? And then you get the blank stares because he didn't have an answer, because he can't say, because I wanted to.
Right.
You know, he can't say, so he's got no answer. You get the blank stares because he was hoping you were dumb enough to forget he was on punishment because you let him watch a movie with you, you know.
So not only with dealing with that, dealing with teenagers on punishment, and they are a joy. Don't get me wrong, they're great kids, but every so often everybody's got to take one. Everybody's got to sit down, get a timeout, get slapped, something happens, right? It's real life. So not only are we dealing with that, but we also have the mixed family dynamic, right? So I'm a stepmom, Dan is a stepdad, because all 4 of our children, and 3 that currently live in the home, because our oldest is grown and gone, but they all have a step parent in the home.
Right, absolutely.
So that brings its own sort of complications. So I don't know who may be listening today, but step parenting is not easy. And there's a lot of cute books on it and cute blogs, and the families, they look so pretty. I follow some of the prettiest people on Instagram and social media and YouTube, where they talk about tips for dealing with step parenting home. It gets dirty. It really does. It will test you in ways that you've never been tested before. being a step parent and having to figure out how to manage that.
I think it's part of the reason why statistically, if they say 50% of marriages end in divorce, they say 63% of second marriages and 70-something% of third marriages. And I bet you that the children are a big part of that.
Oh, for sure.
And if I were to even think about the first marriages ending 50-50, there has to be a percentage of that is influenced by the fact that in the last couple of decades, single parenting has become such a large thing. In a sense
it's almost normal,
right,
really.
Now I meet a young woman, she's 20-something years old, I'm 20-something years old, I'm married, but she's already got a child, or I already have a child. And while I know that's nothing new, families are different in this generation than families were 70 years ago. 70 years ago, I think there was just a natural understanding of kinsman redeemer because of where we come from as a people, that when a father is absent and the new man comes in, that he takes the responsibility of the whole house, and the whole house understands the honor that is due him, and vice versa. And so that is gone. And so now when we jump into marriages in these last couple of decades, you're already dealing with having a disadvantage because you already got an ex that's in the picture. You've already got children that are being coached by the ex not to like you. And so I wonder how much of that has something to do with 50-50.
Yeah, and and it sounds harsh because you don't want to say that it's the child's goal to split the marriage up, but there is something there that will always cause that child to be like, I want my parents to be together. And inside of that thinking, inside of that spirit, there is a little divisiveness that comes in and says, how can I make this work the way that I want it to work? And it's in the smallest little things, from getting snacks to my daddy said this, or well, my mommy always does it this way. It's tiny little seeds, and you go back at the end of your day, you're in your room or at your office or wherever you are thinking of how this is a failure or how this isn't going to work, and then that does affect your marriage.
And I'll tell you because I was a stepchild. My father remarried, and in my teenage years I lived there, and it's weird because there was never a time where I thought, I want them to break up or split up.
Do you say there was never a time?
There was never a time that I thought, I want them to split up or I'm going to split them up.
Yeah.
However, I did not like it. I did, like there was a part of me that's like, this ain't what I want. I don't know.
But you intentionally wanted to bother her.
No. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're right in the fact that there's something that happens on the inside that the thought process is not intentional, but all of the work that gets done is very effective towards the desire.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't that I wanted my mom and dad together and didn't want them together. I just thought that my dad's time should have been focused on me. I didn't want to share me. I didn't.
You don't have an understanding of priorities or of necessity.
Right, and and so with that being said, I never was like, I don't want them together, but I didn't like that. I didn't want. So there were little things that we did. Now that I look back, and I can say I didn't do this to get this effect, but this very well probably caused a million arguments. So some stuff like this, like you always say, the kids will quote their other parent in the house,
right?
My mom or my dad.
It's like, your daddy's stupid. But he ain't say that.
But even more than that, I would walk up to my stepmom and I would say, my dad wants this, and that. My dad told me this, and that. As to say, he's not yours, he's mine.
Right, and put a disconnect between you and her.
Right, right. Or we would be downstairs watching television, and she would come downstairs to watch TV, and we would get up. Me and my sister would get up, and we would go upstairs. Yeah. And then she, and it, not right away, like it didn't look like a boycott, just a slow drift to the bathroom and then up and then stay up there. And then if she came upstairs, and there's a slow drip downstairs like that. And little things, she would say no to something. And I think it's not intentional, but somewhere in there you forget. As kids are just forgetful, and then they go and ask the parent they think they're going to get a yes from. So you go ask them. So you get a yes from dad and a no from stepmom, and guess who's going to argue about it later?
Oh yeah.
I remember my stepmother used to tell my father these things, and when he would come home, we'd stop doing them.
Right, to be angels.
Right, and I don't think, again, none of it is intentional. That's why you have to be aware. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, let's make her look crazy. You know what it was? The thing that I wanted was my dad's time.
Yeah.
And now he's home. I want to be around him.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be around her, so we're all together. And it looks like like angels, like you say, but it also makes it look like we're smart enough to devise a scheme to drive somebody crazy.
But some children are smart enough to devise a scheme.
Well, I think that there's influences, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know there's spiritual influences, and so I'm sure there is some devising, and there are some schemes, and that's why you gotta, obviously watch the schemes of the devil, So there are schemes and whispers, and children are so influenced and things like that. But yeah, that's how division comes in, and that's how frustration comes in, especially to a step parent. Because here's something for a step parent is, for instance, you had a single child, you had one child, and then you married me, and on that glorious day that you will never forget, it done changed you forever. But you went from 1 to 4 kids overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
I went from 3 to 4. That's not hard.
That's not a big jump.
You went from 1 to 4, and then
boys.
Right, and when you put in all that work, and they don't appreciate it. How and the thing is, a step parent has to work harder than a regular parent. Mm-hmm. They have to perform harder than a regular parent.
Right.
I could be.
Well, unless the other parent is just
no
doo-doo.
No, the thing.
Sometimes it's easy to outperform somebody.
In whose eyes?
Well, yeah, okay. In the child's eyes, never.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
On paper, you're a champ. At home, you're frustrated with you feel disrespected extremely because for instance, I can pay the mortgage, pay all the bills, bring home the broccoli.
The broccoli, yeah, we don't eat bacon.
We don't eat bacon. Bring home the groceries, help you with your homework, tuck you in, sing happy birthday at all your birthdays, and then you get a weekend visit, a go-kart ride with some tickets at the carnival and a slice of pizza, and you come back talking about this is the best dad in the world. Hold on a minute. I know what it takes to be a dad, and it's not go-karts and pizza.
Just paid the mortgage.
Right. All it took was pizza?
That's it.
Golly.
Would have been went to Chuck E. Cheese.
So that adds frustration because you can't really say anything about that, right? You gotta swallow that down. Mm-hmm. You gotta not be angry about it. You gotta not resent the child. You gotta not insult the other parent to them, right?
Yeah.
And but it that works on the inside with all the other things. Parenting becomes very frustrating.
It does. It brings a lot of different scenarios when you have stepchildren. So one of the things that a conflict that it brings in, of course, is the other parents, right? You have to deal with whatever. And some people are peaceful. God bless all of you who are gifted with peaceful co-parents. But that's not always the scenario. Like you just mentioned, with people, will put into their children's ear, which is so sad to put into their children's ear, and send them off to create division or, be against her or don't like her food or, she's not your mom and that's not really your house and they're not your real siblings. They put that, which is one thing that I have tried my very best to do. I don't know if I've been perfect at it, but our Bible tells us that for a child to honor their mother and their father, and it will give them long lasting days. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a contributor to cutting short my child's life by putting in little seeds of division. Hey, when you go over there, do this, do that. I don't want that on my hands. Right. But what it does in a step parent scenario, so like I said, you have other parents, different parenting styles and drama. You have other conflicts like the hurt of the children. I remember just even seeing it on our, especially our boys, on their faces, some of the hurt that they experience through going through a divorce. Children have no idea what divorce means. They have no idea what separation means. They have no idea. All they know is a new lady or dude is now coming to the house. Right. And things are changing.
And they rarely know why a divorce happens. Now,
because you're trying to protect them, but then it does leave this open gap for different ideas, and that's where a lot of children you see, they're like, well, maybe it was me.
And they do that. Now, here's my thing. I also, everything's not a child's business.
Yeah.
Some things do more damage than they do good. Mm-hmm. But even things that will hurt them, that if you gave them the truth about, I think it takes out years of emptiness, years of questions, years of insecurity that build more and more pain. They don't have to like what they hear, but to know the truth. They can know a truth that you know. Let me say it this way. Let's say something happened between you and your ex. They can know a truth that you know about their other parent, about your ex, and it not affect them the way it affected you. Mm-hmm. You can't think that if they have the information that you have, that they want to divorce their parent. That's not going to happen. You know, they're going to look at it. They're going to I think be hurt by it. But they're always going to love their parents. Yeah. And that's between you and your ex. But the children can hear that information, and you'd be hard pressed to paint somebody's superhero dad or superhero mom. You can't paint them into a lesser image in the eyes of that child. There's nothing you can say. You can have a picture of their parents smoking crack, and they're going to say, that ain't crack. My mom. That's not crack. She has a party favor. She's pretending that's a Halloween picture. It
was a joke.
Right. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
No.
And if they believe it's crack, they're going to say, at least it's the best crack.
Oh.
You know what I mean? My mom got designer crack. That's Louis Vuitton
I was like,
crack.
Good.
That's like Gucci.
You're stupid. But that's true. So I don't know if there's any step parents out there listening. There really is nothing that you can do to convince a child to be against their parent. And you shouldn't. I mean, you should never pitch that to your child.
And I say there should be some honesty, some honest conversations that happen early on, so that the kids know. Because if they know why, I think that you'll do away with their
informative
idea.
Though informative,
Right.
Not to sway them to feel or think a certain way.
Right, but exactly. But I think that if you give them that information, then they don't go through the years of saying, I wish my parents were together. Mm-hmm. They'll know why you're not together. Mm-hmm. And the reason I think a lot of times that they don't get their information is two reasons. Half the time it's an affair.
Right.
And you don't want the children to look at the other parent. And this is you're just a sloppy parent that's screaming and throwing stuff over the balcony and cussing them out and, breaking windows. You a problem anyway.
Yeah.
But the other reason is because the reason that you would give them makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So they don't give them a reason. Kids don't understand that irreconcilable differences. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we fell out of love. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, they bad with money. Well, get good with money.
Yeah.
Well, your dad lost his job. Well, he had a job for a long time. Stay with him till he get another one. There's no real reason when it comes down to other things. Where they lied to me about what? About the car. So what? It's a car. Forgive her. You know, like nothing will make sense to a child. Mm-hmm. So you just don't tell them nothing. And the only one that would make sense to them, you don't want to tell them because you think it's damaging. Mm-hmm. It's a crazy thought, and how we leave our kids then in this vulnerable
it's
state.
almost like you can't win. You know.
Yeah, and so deal with your teenagers now. That happens when they're 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're raising teenagers. I know my parents have teenagers that are out there listening right now and probably want to pull your hair out.
Need a break. We were talking about that just the other day. I don't know what we were in there doing, but I think we just locked eyes and we were like, we need a break. I love the children. But my daughter, I homeschool her, so me and her are together 24/7. We're together all the time, and then the boys, they're boys, so they're a lot. There's constantly something going on. They did something, they broke something, they're dirty, they didn't clean. So at every moment, it's something happening. And we looked at each other and we were like, we need a break. And I know sometimes being, moms, we don't like to feel like we should be away from our children. Even when we would take vacations and go somewhere, and I'd look at you and I'd be like, don't you wish the kids were here?
And I would say,
no. And that would bother me. But moms have this hard, I don't know what it is, the nurturer in us, where we don't feel like we need a break. Like, we know we're tired. We know we're frustrated. You can look back and see, I've been tripping all week. I'm nitpicking with the kids about the dumbest stuff. Just like we can nag and nitpick our husbands, we really can nag and nitpick our children. And that really is just evidence of needing a break.
I was going to amen it right there, but I felt it and deemed it inappropriate.
Oh, so just bring it up on the side like that. We'll discuss this later.
Little subliminal amen.
We'll discuss this after we're done recording here. Because nagging, we're going to talk about that one day too, nagging. Because when you say something for the first time, that is not a nag. But anyways,
What's going to happen between now and
but
the
anyways.
Oh, there's a lot of nagging for that.
Wow. Strangulation is going to happen also. But it's okay to need a break. I think there are days and there are times or seasons where you need to take a rest from your children. Like, you need a break.
You know, I think too, as we were talking, some of the stuff that it's hard because men like that break. Women,
it's easier for you, and you guys say it so nonchalantly, like, well, just go, just take a break, let's just go here, let's just take a trip, let's just.
And but mothers don't.
Easy.
Mothers there's some infatuation in the childbearing process.
If I'm not there, how will they eat?
Right. I don't even know what to say.
How will they shower?
You just froze me just now. Yes, it's my wife's going on a trip in a couple of days, and she thinks. I know I just dated this recording, but that's fine.
That's fine.
She thinks that we're going to tear the house down while
Absolutely.
she's gone. Now,
I have plans.
I've been a father longer than she's been a mother.
Yes.
And
I remember what your apartment looked like when you were single. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Let's not get into it.
Here's what it looked like. It had one chair, a TV tray with a 19-inch TV sitting on top of it because I had just gotten divorced and left everything.
I'm just talking about
so it
freshness.
It was absolutely clean because there were no real dishes in the house.
The dishes were in there. I remember that one time the sink was kind of.
The only dirty dish you seen was when I brought you and I cooked you shrimp Alfredo.
Cheddar Bay biscuits.
But I made this Cheddar Bay biscuits from scratch with 2 pans and a hot rock and 1 butter knife.
Listen to me.
That's magic. Say it.
That's magic. But there are things that won't. We ain't gotta get into it. I need my house to be protected. I need my carpets to be protected. Anyway. My floors. Who's taking the dogs out? Did you clean behind your ears? What's going on with the toilet? Like, did we wipe the toilet seat off? Are we making the bed? Are we making the bed in the way and the structure in which I taught you? Are the curtains closed at night? Is the pool door locked? Is the pool light out in the back? Shut? Where's the trash at?
Is there a candle lit for ambiance? But just then blow the candles out.
First of all,
don't burn the house down.
I wish you might burn my candles while I'm gone.
So here's the thing. Mothers, they have this thing going on with their children where they're like, the world is dependent upon them being there. Mm-hmm. And so by the time a mom gets to a point where she needs a break, it's been way too long.
Yep.
It's been 10 years, before a mother.
It's extreme, but maybe there might be some moms.
No, I mean because reality of it is, while your children adore you, you get an equal balance of their affection and their frustration.
Oh yeah.
But when they hit puberty and you are no longer the most influential voice in their wake, and they're challenging you because they're becoming adults and don't even know why they're challenging you about everything.
Oh my God.
Now they don't adore you, but they still bring the difficult task of needing.
It's still just as heavy or heavier.
Right. They need to be provided for. They need to be disciplined. They need to be trained. They need all of those things. But now you don't get the enjoyment of the sitting on your lap and the smiling at you and the cute moments, because then they also go through a good period of ugliness. And 95% of children do. They're just ugly. Between certain ages, they are.
Never.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Then there's the teeth stage.
Where their teeth look big.
Yeah,
but I'm not calling them ugly.
That's the big stage, ugly teeth stage. After the tooth fell out.
But I know what you're talking about, though, because sometimes they'll be like extra round,
right?
Or they'll be really, really skinny.
Right.
And
so you hit about 12, and you get that roundness because you haven't hit your growth spurt yet. And so you get round, and so you get bad skin. You get the bad skin with puberty, so now not only are you frustrating. You're too big to sit on my lap. Your feet ain't cute no more. Don't put them on me.
Ew.
And you're ugly. You're kind of ugly right now, and I'm kind of looking at you like, man, don't take no pictures with me in the next 6 months. No. But I'm saying all that's funny, but I'm just saying that the balance that happens between the affection and frustration disappears, and now mom realizes how bad her baby girl gets on her nerves, or how bad her baby boy gets on her nerves, because this is the age that she starts seeing herself in her daughter.
Yeah.
And this is the age where her son starts wanting to run off and starts adoring other little girls and getting in trouble because they'd rather be around them girls sneaking around than being home.
Which I just can't believe.
Mama.
I don't even understand that. But
so now in the teenage years, a mother realizes, man, I need a break.
Yeah.
Fathers are like, we need a break all the time. We need a break.
Ain't did nothing.
Did it all. Come in, tell them be quiet, they all get quiet. You got to tell them quiet 10 times. I have to tell them one time.
So we hear a lot about self-care. And when we hear things like self-care, we think about going to get our hair done and our nails done and maybe having like a little spa time. But there is a self-care that needs to happen in parenting that's very specific, right? Specific care for yourself as a parent, as a step parent, because you can get worn out and then you're parenting not from a healthy place.
Absolutely. And
it's okay to take a break.
If you don't get that break, what happens is you begin to think everything is a frustration. And you really then, all jokes aside, you really begin to think you don't like your children. You know? And you won't say it out loud because what will the world think? You know? But that does happen on the inside, and what happens is it becomes difficult to enjoy the good moments, the joyful moments, the funny moments. Something funny happens and you can't even laugh because you're angry, because you're exhausted and the frustration hits you different. And breaking is important. This world teaches us right now, and it's a dangerous teaching, that if you are frustrated with your kids, or if you need to get away from your kids, or if you say anything like most of the stuff we've said today, that you're a bad parent. That you have to be around your children, worship your children. That's the culture we live in. And I want to say this, kind of on and off topic, you have to be careful with that, because when you start turning the pyramid upside down, when you take the least important thing, and the children are not the least important thing, but when it comes to dynamics of family. Right? There's me and God. If me and God are okay, then I know my wife is going to be okay. If me and my wife are okay, I know my children are going to be okay. And so my children are on the bottom of that totem pole, as far as that goes. If I make them the priority, that me and my children have to be okay, my wife is not going to be okay being second, and God is darn sure not going to be okay being second.
He's a jealous God.
Right. So what happens is this culture tells us to worship our children. The laws in many states say you can't discipline your kids a certain way. The kids can divorce the parents, emancipate themselves. The kids, they can call in neglect and all of these things and put the parents in. We just seen this article where this young girl, she took a break. Yeah,
she took a break, and probably not in the best way, because she actually ended up being sentenced to jail. So we won't give this young lady's name, but she's around 22 years old. It's in the state of Michigan, and we see this week where I guess she just was maybe having a hard time, and her 1-year-old, and her 2-year-old daughters were left at home for almost 20 hours because she went out that night. So it even shows when they were there before the judge, where she put a Facebook post up that said nighttime often sucks. And so I don't know maybe what that meant for her, what nighttime meant. Maybe she wasn't around her kids and she missed, she felt purposeless at that moment because that's when the kids go down to bed, or nighttime sucked because she's just exhausted and worn out. But she made the choice that night to go out and party, and I think what happened after reading through some of this article, maybe she fell asleep where she was, and she just forgot.
I'm not going to speculate on the details.
And so I know, but this is what the article said. And what happened was the mailman was pulling up to the house that day, and the children were outside in the middle of the street, in their soiled Pampers. And so maybe what we have here, and this is, hear me through the Holy Ghost, please. I'm not advocating for anything like this, but maybe mama needed a break.
Right.
Maybe she needed a break, and she just couldn't take it.
She could lean on.
Yeah, maybe she's 22 years old. She's a young mom with baby. I mean, so that means she probably maybe was pregnant at 19 or 20 and had these babies really young.
And again, not defending what she did, because it was absolutely horrible. Those children could have lost their lives.
They could have lost or been taken, or Jesus.
But she should have some type of support system, that a parent who can come and babysit, someone who could have stepped up. But here's what happens, right? Is now she took one night, messed up, blew it, could have really lost lots of children, all of that. But the sentence is a year long. So mom leaves the children for one night, and the judge takes mom from the children for 1 year. And I know there's a lot of you who are listening who are sitting there going, "Oh, she ain't fit to be a parent anyway." Well, I don't think that any of us are fit to qualify her mentality, and I don't think that any of us are fit to qualify the scenario. I think we can judge the decision as poor, but I think that there are better things that can be done to resource people, you know what I mean, and give for mental health, for self-care, for peace, because it's difficult. Lose your mother for a year.
Yeah.
You know, those babies, you could oversee her, give her probationary parenting, something like that, but those babies are not going to remember that she wasn't there for that day. Yeah. But they will remember she wasn't there for
that
their
she was
birthday,
gone for a year.
Missed Christmas, missed Mother's Day. They will remember they missed first days of school or whatever, that whole year. Where is she at? They will remember that, and whatever damage that they are implying was done to the kids mentally will be guaranteed
to be done over this next year.
But our society, they tell you you're a bad parent if you take a break, because they want you to worship your child. They want you to set your entire schedule around your child. Right now in our society, people decide what they're going to do with their life according to their children's extracurricular activities. Can't take a vacation because little Joey got practice, you know, on this traveling team or this school team or this spelling bee or this band or this comic book thing or whatever it is. They've got something for your child that you would choose your whole life around. Parents choose their churches around their children, which I don't even understand. The kids like this youth group, so we go to this church, but you can't stand the atmosphere. You don't get fed. It's dry to you, and you're not learning anything, but the kids like it. Right. Here's the problem. You're the kids' pastor before the youth pastor. That youth group ain't going to keep them from getting in trouble just because they like being there for church. What's going to happen is they going to see you more than they see that youth pastor 6 days a week. And when you are dry, ain't got no revelation, don't have no oversight, you are the representation that they're following. Yeah. So you think you're picking an atmosphere for them to keep them out of trouble, but you're actually pushing them into trouble further because you're showing them that church is powerless. There's no revelation. And that's what they're watching. And but we choose our churches based on our kids. We buy houses according to the comfort level of our children. Christmas, we go into debt for our children. I mean, our children drive everything we do.
And we have to be careful with that because, like you said, being in a dry place, it'll put you in scenarios where you're making bad decisions in your parenting. Right. And it may not be as bad as little Sally's decision with her two children, but it will put you in a place where you're making bad decisions within your parenting style, decisions on freedoms that they can or cannot have. And that's just a dangerous place to be. And you know, you're saying how a lot of things with our children drives our decision. That really it's a spiritual concept. It is the fear of man. Right. And our Bible tells us that the fear of man is a snare. It is a trap. Right. And it will trap you in your parenting. And not only that, it will trap your children. Right. And it'll keep them bound in whatever lack of discipline that they have, whatever environment that you've put them into because you've told them that this is more of a priority than this, or the house of God is less of a priority to your game schedule, whatever it may be. But it is a snare, the fear of man. It's not just walking around people pleasing your peers.
Right.
The fear of man is a snare in every type of relationship, in every scenario. And we talked about discipline, and discipline our children also is something that will keep us tired. If there's a lack of discipline, mom and dad are drained. I was reading in Hebrews 12:11. I'm gonna share it with y'all. It says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." Peace, rest, self-care. It really has come full circle. So discipline within your life as a parent, discipline within their life as a child, and self-care. All of these things are going to provide you with so much peace.
Here's some things that you could do with your self-care. One of the things is care less. And what I mean by that is we worry about so many things. And you know, we know Scripture says be anxious for nothing, but we worry. And when we put all these things on our plate to please, do this for my children, do this, I gotta make sure they're happy. The reality of it is you just give yourself a long list of more stuff to do that you can get frustrated about because you ain't get it done. So here's some helpful things. Care less. Your children don't like what you cooked. Care less. Don't care. They can eat it or they can starve. Ain't nobody ever died from missing dinner.
For missing one meal.
Right? You know, they don't eat this, they don't like that. Yes, they do. You know why they do? Because they can't afford to eat something different.
That's right.
They don't have a job.
That's right.
So about their opinion about what you cooked with the money you bought, care
That's
less.
good.
You know, about whether they really want to be somewhere and wear some type of clothing and be at somebody's party, care less. They too young to afford a private life. They're too young to afford a social life.
Yes.
Yeah, Instagram and Snapchat then fooled you to thinking that you are able to live like you 29. You ain't. You 13 years old.
That's right.
So here, let me help you out. I don't care if they don't like you. I don't care if you want to go to that party. I don't care if you like those shoes. I don't care what kind of cars you prefer. I don't care because you can't afford the price tag on a pack of gum.
Mm-hmm.
So when we, and it's not that you don't provide. It's just that stuff doesn't control.
For sure.
Those things are rewards. You know what I mean? When I bless my children with something, it's because I want to bless them because I'm a good father.
Yeah.
It's not because they're entitled to it. If you give people things that they have not worked for, you create an entitlement mentality.
Yeah.
Period.
World of brats.
Right. You will raise your
We don't
children
want
up
that.
to think that everyone else is supposed to pay for them to have whatever they want. And think about this. What kind of young man when he's an older man my age who wants everyone else to pay for what I want? What kind of man?
I'm
does
sure
that-
somebody's dating that man right now.
Think of what kind of man that is. I mean, in society, or a woman that says, "I don't want to do much, but I want everybody else to pay for the things I want." That produces a couple of type of professions.
Yeah. Oh.
So the reality of it is, you really have to care less in order to care more about what's important and care about yourself. You know, it's okay to send them to their room to be quiet while you get some alone time, to get your prayer time. It's okay to say no to them always wanting to be somewhere at a mall. No, sit down.
Yeah.
Go sit down. It's okay to be home.
Yes, to be still.
You don't have to be at everyone's birthday party, parents. You don't have to be at everyone's event. You don't have to be. It's so funny that people jump through hoops to do all these silly things, and then they'll miss church.
Yeah.
You know,
or miss what's important, or
because they're
miss,
tired. But
miss time with
that
God.
helps the care.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you're at a place that you're not getting fed, the scary thing is you're not getting much self-care there. So you're not getting any rest in the house. You're not getting any rest at your house. You're doing it based on where your children want to be, and you have no pause in sight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to care less, institute some discipline, and make sure that you are healthy. That does not mean self-indulge. That is not selfishness. But you have to make sure you're healthy, that you're getting your time with God, that you're in a place where it's not dry, that you are not working for every idea out there, every imagination that your children have. The Bible says, cast down every evil imagination and every high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. You know, these things, and when you build your house with your children as the foundation, it's going to fall over.
Yeah.
God's the foundation. You stand on Him. Your children will stand on your shoulders. It's not the other way. You train them up. They don't train you up.
So no matter what type of parent you are, whether you have a mixed family like we do, whether you're more of the traditional sense and you and your spouse are married and all of your children are there in the home, congratulations, you're blessed. We're all blessed. But no matter what your parenting or your home situation is, we just want you to be encouraged today. We just want you to know that it is actually okay to take a break, that it is okay to care less about the things that the world would have us in a tizzy about and keep us stressed, and we keep our focus on other things of how we can please this person or how we can please this child. It's okay to just sit back, take a break, take a breather. And we believe that when you do that and you're in a place where you can hear the voice of God, that God will bring you wisdom on how to walk through your parenting and how to walk through your marriage, balancing out raising stepchildren. So no matter what that scenario is, we're praying for you.
And I promise you that as you do that, you will see the results of more laughter in your home. You know, children love discipline, you know, whether they say it or not.
Yeah.
And it relieves you of your frustration so you can enjoy your family.
Peace.
A lot more laughter, a lot more peace, a lot more enjoyment. And you'll begin to see the opposite in these scenarios than you think. You think that these things produce strife. But they don't. They really produce peace and enjoyment.
They do.
And I love my family. My kids are the funniest kids in the world.
They are.
My wife is the funniest, most beautiful woman in the world. And it's we have a good time together.
We do, and we haven't figured it out, completely. We don't claim to, because there's things about our family dynamic that are very tough.
Right.
But like some things that we've talked about over this time that we've had with everyone here is choosing God first.
Right.
God is number one. And then we look at each other and we say, hey, are we okay? Are we good? Are we in a good place? And because we believe that to be true, we trust and believe that our children will fall into line when we put the right focus on the things that they can and can't have, they can't and cannot have. And you know what? You may have some children that when they grow up to leave your house, maybe they go a completely different way. Maybe they choose a different route than what we all thought that they were going to do. But you know what? You still have to stand firm on everything that you did during your parenting. That because you raised them up in the ways of the Lord, that they're not going to depart from it. So whatever it looks like for you, we want you to be really encouraged today that God really is working it all out for your good. So step parents, hold on. Traditional parents, hold on, and just keep your eye on the prize. And
let me give a shout out to the kids
you.
out there that might be listening, and give a little defense to them. Your kids need a break too.
Yeah.
They need their own personal time too. They might need you to leave them alone for a little bit too.
They don't want to do one more thing.
No more chores.
They don't want to color another picture with you.
Don't call them into the living room to get the remote for you, and you sitting right in front of it.
Oh my God! Get your own glass of water here and there. It's gonna be okay. Leave these kids alone. Let them have a little break too.
So we just say thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. God, we just thank you for this time together.
Yes, Lord.
We just ask that you bless every listener, Father. We pray, Lord, that they can find something in this podcast that helps them. And God, if there was nothing here that helped them, at least make it funny. In Jesus' name, amen.
Bye. We'll see you guys soon.